Here's the big question. How are entrepreneurs like us, who have been hustling and struggling to make it to success, who seem to make it one step forward only to fall two steps back, who are dedicated, determined, and driven, how do we finally break through and win? That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answers. My name is Brian Kelly, and this is the Mind, Body, Business Show. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Mind, Body, Business Show. We have another phenomenal show lined up for you tonight, and that is because of the one and only and truly amazing Mr. John Knox is going to be gracing this screen very, very soon. I cannot wait to introduce you to this fine young man who is on a mission, and I'm not going to give anything away. I cannot wait for you to learn what he is up to, what he's learned along his journey, and what he's had to do to overcome certain things in his life to get where he is today. And that's what I love about what I get to do in this show, is about bringing forth to you prominent and successful entrepreneurs from all over the world to help you to get to that next level in your business. That's what this show is all about. I extract the secrets, the strategies, and all the value out of each individual that comes onto this show. And that is on purpose so that you can take notes and then take action and model their success. It's that simple. And that is what the Mind Body Business Show is truly all about. It is about what I call the 3 pillars of success. And these came about by way of my studying just successful people. I focused on only successful people for about a decade. And what I learned over that time was these 3 pillars of success, these 3 common parameters kept floating to the top. And they're the very namesake of this show. Mind means mindset. So to a person, each of these very successful individuals had a very powerful, very positive, and most importantly, flexible mindset. And then body is that each of these, and what we're talking about with successful people there are some that I know personally, some I've worked with, some whom are my mentors, some whom I've never met, who I've just read from a book, authors, etc. Others who are gracing stages all over the world, who I've studied, those kind of people. And so body literally means that these individuals took care of themselves and take care of themselves, if we're still with us, both physically and nutritionally. And we're going to be hitting on that just a hair here tonight, I think. That is going to be a good one. And then business. Business is multifaceted. And what these individuals had done to a person is they had actually mastered the skill sets that are necessary to build a successful business. And not just build one, but then take those skill sets and build and then stack on additional skill sets, improve on the previous ones, and then scale one's business and grow it. Here's the thing, the entrepreneurs that come on this show are heart-centered. They are here, they are successful because they help other people in their business. It's help-driven. Every person I have met on this show, over 5 years of interviewing entrepreneurs, that is the common denominator. They are not here to be money mongers. They're not just here to make the money. Money is important, don't get me wrong. And the transaction must ensue for them to continue to serve, to grow, to scale, and then serve more people. So it's a wonderful cycle of serving, making money, serving, making money, and growing. And so that is what the Mind Body Business Show is all about. These skill sets I'm talking about that I just referred to a moment ago, skill sets like marketing, sales, team building, systematizing, leadership. I could go on for quite some time. And I just want to help you out here real quick. And that is, you're probably going, oh my gosh, I'm supposed to master every one of those? If you're an astute person, which I know you are, you realize that mastering any one thing can take thousands of hours of repetition, of practice, of work. The good news is you personally do not have to master every single skill set, not even that small list I just rattled off a moment ago. In fact, if you just focused your attention, doesn't mean negate any other skill sets, but focus your attention on one skill set, and you just keep that as your primary focus, then all of the other skill sets will they'll just meld together in a beautiful way. And if you want to know what that skill set is, just put it in the chat, or I won't tell you what it is. I'm so kidding. I'm going to tell you. That is the skill set of leadership. Once you can even be on the path of becoming a master at leadership and that skill set. You don't have to have reached mastery all the way. As you're doing it, you can then bring in other individuals who have already mastered those other skill sets that you have not, and maybe possibly never will master due to just the time it takes to master each one individually. And that is how you can scale a business much faster. You do not want to do everything all by yourself. You want to bring in a team eventually. And the sooner you do that, the better. I just say that from experience. I was a solopreneur way too long. And once I realized I could do something much quicker and better, I went after it with everything I had. And I hope you do the same. And so another wonderful thing I noticed about these very successful individuals was also, to a person, they are also very avid readers of books. Oh, and I have to do the shameless plug. This is recently released, my own book called Mind, Body, Business. Wow, where did that title come from? Actually, this book, I started writing this over 10 years ago. And the title of this book is what inspired this show. The show has been running for over 5 years. The book just got released a couple of months ago. And you can get this at mindbodybusinessbook.com. And there you'll see Amazon and Barnes & Noble links. Go get it on Amazon because we get better ratings there. And that's a wonderful thing. But these individuals were very avid readers of books. So with that, I want to segue into a little segment very briefly that I affectionately call Bookmarks.
Bookmarks. Born to read. Bookmarks. Ready, steady, read. Bookmarks. Brought to you by reachyourpeaklibrary.com.
There you see it, reachyourpeaklibrary.com. Now, a quick word of advice. This is for you. This is not for me. And that is, when you watch this show, when you listen to this show, if you're listening on podcast, then please, I implore upon you to take out a pad of paper or some kind of note-taking device and take notes. And what I mean by that is, like in this case, write down reachyourpeaklibrary.com instead of clicking on another tab on your computer or device or your tablet or your phone and going off to research it. Why would I say take down notes and don't run off and research it? Because the magic happens in the room. And that is when John Knox gets in here. Not when I'm here, but when John Knox is in here, which is right after this, he's coming on. I would not like this to happen to you. And that is, you take your focus away. You're going and researching something that you shouldn't be doing at that moment because Brian just told you not to. And John says something that could potentially change your life forever. And you may miss it because your focus is elsewhere. I learned this from speaking from stage many years ago when I first started speaking from stage. And I would see somebody get up and walk away, go to the restroom, look at their phone. They had a message they had to take. And I know, being the presenter, I'm getting to that really juicy part that could help them. And I started realizing maybe I better pre-frame folks and let them know, look, keep your focus here. If you need to hit the restroom right now and you're watching us live, go take care of it quick, because I'm bringing on John in just a moment. And then come back and be present and focused and take notes. Visit these resources after the show is over. Sound good? Because I do have a prize to give away at the end of the show. If you're watching live, if you're not watching live, you should be. You should go to themindbodybusinessshow.com. Click on any of those where and how to watch buttons. You'll see many of them on the page. Register. All we do is we send you an automated reminder the moment we are about to go live with the link to join us. It makes it super simple. Then you can enter to win. What is it? It's a 5-night stay at a 5-star luxury resort. And these are from resorts all over the world. You get to choose. They're phenomenal. You do not want to miss out on that. So join us live if you haven't watched live lately. Jump on and watch so you can enter to win. And I see we do have some people viewing right now. Great. You'll have that opportunity. All right, Reach Your Peak Library, real quick. What is that? It is a website that I had my team put together. Really, and I kid you not, this was with you in mind, our viewers, the people watching this show. And that is, it is a library of books that yours truly has read and vetted. Now, I didn't start reading voraciously hardly at all until the age of 47. That was about 13 years ago. I'm pausing so you can do the math. Yeah, that's right. I'm 60. That's awesome. I wear it on my sleeve. I'm proud of it. Every year's a victory. Seriously, I'm not kidding. I love it. And then as I was reading these books, finally I started reading them, like, my gosh, they're having a massive, profound impact on me, either in my personal life or my professional life, or even both, most often both. And so those books that had that impact on me, I said, put that one on the website, put the next one on the website. Here's another one. And my team would put these on here. And these are all here for you to just choose a book, the next one on the list that jumps out. They're in no rhyme or reason. They're not alphabetical. If you've been watching them scroll as you're watching live, you'll see they're not alphabetical. They're basically put in kind of as I read them. There's no actual rhyme or rhythm to them. So just scroll, find the first one that really jumps off the screen and go get it. And look, you don't even have to buy it from this website. This is not for Brian to make money. This is for Brian to offer you a resource that can help you to grow your own business. So if you like to go to a physical, say a Barnes and Noble bookstore to get your books, just note what book you want to go get, head on over and get the physical book from there. If you just want convenience, click the buy here button. It'll whisk you away to Amazon. So it's up to you. No big deal. E-Myth Revisited. That's a great one. I need to put my own book on here pretty soon, huh? I think that'd be a good idea. Okay, so that is that. That is a resource, truly a gift to all of you from yours truly. And I hope you get a lot of value from that. Speaking of a lot of value, it is finally time for Brian to slow his roll and bring on the guest of the hour. Do you want to see who that is? You all know who it is, right? John Knox. He's coming on. Here we go. Once I get her up, here we go. John, are you ready? It's happening right now.
It's time for the Guest Expert Spotlight. Savvy, skillful, professional, adept, trained, big league, qualified.
And there he is, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, it is the one, the only John Knox. Woo! How you doing, buddy?
Good. How are you?
I'm living the dream now because we got you on the show. We're live. You've got a great background, not just the one behind you, but your background of your life, your experience. I see a firefighter helmet back there. My brother was a retired fire captain. I have nothing but mad respect for all of you, first responders, military, you name it. I love you guys and gals. You're amazing. John, would you mind if I just open this up by giving you a quick introduction that I would say that you deserve so that folks can get a little bit of a glimpse into your background and why you're here tonight?
Yeah, sure.
Woohoo! All right. John Knox is a 23-year LA City firefighter, paramedic, emergency medical dispatcher. Oh, I just thinking of what my brother went through to do all that. Thank you for doing all this, John. He is the founding board member and officer of Firefighters for Freedom Foundation. The foundation is currently working to stop the unconstitutional vaccine mandates imposed by the city of Los Angeles and to restore the right to work through freedom of choice and body autonomy. Since being terminated from the fire service for standing up against the mandates, it has allowed John to put more time into his organization. He is also pursuing his own endeavors and got to reinvent himself after being in public service, totaling over 34 years. He is now working as a private consultant in the disaster management space, doing consulting for nonprofit startups and also doing public speaking and coaching for individuals in that space as well. It has also allowed him time to start, yes, I love this part, writing a book. He's on his way. He's going to be publishing his own book here. So with that, I want to welcome formally and officially to this wonderful stage, Mr. John Knox. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm good, Brian. How are you?
Oh man, this is going to be awesome. So I like to open everything up with mind, which is the first word in the show's name. And that is, I learned at a very late age, around 47-ish, when I started reading at the same time, coincidentally, that our mindset is really what gives us the result we have. It has nothing to do with anything else. The mindset will then drive your actions. So for you, you had probably a very stressful position with all those things we just named off: firefighter, emergency medical dispatcher. What was the other one? Paramedic. Oh my gosh, it's like that's a lot. That's a lot. You're dealing with mangled bodies and high intense situations on a regular basis. That was your job. In limited sleep, when the horn goes off and you're woken out of a sleep after you got 1 hour, maybe if you're lucky, and you're going out there bleary eyed. So God bless you and everything you've done. and appreciate that. But I can only imagine, having that experience and now being an entrepreneur and a coach in that space. When you get up in the morning, you now know, having been through this entrepreneur space, that not every day is all just rose petals and light fluffy clouds and wonderful little petals or poodles and dogs and fun fluffy stuff. It's like it's go time. We got to get busy, and there's challenges every single day. It's like it never ends. That's the life of an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So for you, when you get up and you're coming to, you're gaining consciousness, and you see and and you start thinking about what's happening, what's going to happen for that day. And there are going to be some arduous tasks. There are going to be some challenges to overcome, some things to solve. For you, what is keeping you driven day in and day out to keep going yet another day? What is that motivating factor for you going on in that big, beautiful brain of yours?
I'd probably have to say at this point in time, the lack of leadership in our country, in the world, really. When you look around at the world stage, we really are truly lacking in leadership. And so for me, every day when I get out of bed, it's being able to put my feet on the ground is a blessed event in itself, because we're here for a short time. And so I think what we do while we're here is extremely important. You mentioned being in public service for 34 years and 31, I don't even know, long time. And I always, as a first responder, I've been again in law enforcement, in the fire service, and I've done a lot of different things. And that being said, there always seems to be some sort of security blanket. Like, I know I'm going to have a check. I know that I'm going to, family is going to be taken care of. I'll have a pension, all of those things that allow you to really go out and do your job for the public and not think about those stressors. Right. So with that being said, where I stand now, I've realized that that's all a myth. Any can be taken and stripped away from you. And I'm a perfect example of that. So when my feet hit the ground, all of that happened because of a lack of leadership in the fire service, in the cities, in the country, all the way around. And so to me, that's really the driving factor. How do I, as John Knox, create better leaders? And it starts with leading by example. So that's, when I get up, that's what I think about. What is it that I have to do today to go out and whether, affect one person? All it takes is one person to change, right? To step into that space that they didn't think they could do. And so, now the beauty of it is that I've realized, that the life I was living before really was a lie. The freedom that I thought I had was a lie. I was living under the illusion of freedom. And now, I have the ability every day when I get up to actually create that and to, it doesn't rely on anyone else. It's me, sink or swim.
That is powerful right there. I've been through similar things when I was in the corporate world too, and not for completely different reasons, but I don't know how many layoffs I've been through with different companies. And it got to the point where I said, what am I doing? I have no control over my destiny this way. Like you're exactly right. You feel this security blanket while you're there, and then smack, it hits you and you go, wait a minute, that's not so secure. And then go to the next one. It's like, okay, I'm starting to feel snuggled down, get a little secure, and then it's whack. Like, wait a second, it happened again. And that's the realization. You just said it is, you don't have real control over your own destiny. You can do that as an entrepreneur. And I think we're seeing more and more people flock to entrepreneurship for that reason, because of things that happened to you would be one. And folks like you, where you were mandated to take a jab, you said, I'm going to push back on that. And they said, get out. It's like, give me a break. That is ridiculous. And then people that are just going through hardship now because of economy, and companies are failing left and right. And so people are out of work, and they're now starting to flock. It's like, look, I want to do my own thing and be my own boss and call my own shots. And then when they get there, like you did, John, was there some kind of realization like, holy moly, this is a lot different than punching a clock and having someone else do all that other stuff on top, the administration, the hiring, the firing, the managing, the marketing, everything that goes with it. There's quite a wake-up call. At least there was with me. Did you notice that as well?
I mean, I've had businesses throughout my career, even in the fire service and so on and so forth. I mean, I started out young as an entrepreneur. I think one of the first books that really engaged me was Think and Grow Rich, by Napoleon Hill. And that was one of the first books I read. I think I read that. Well, I won't say the first books I read, other than Dr. Seuss. But stepping outside of the Cat in the Hat, I think that book, probably around the age of 19 or 20, really gave me some good insight that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. But then, and I did, and I had companies and was successful in some of those, and some of them weren't so successful. That's the nature of business, right? But then I got into, because of skill sets that I had and so on and so forth. I grew up in a law enforcement family, and that's all I ever wanted to be, was a police officer. My dad was LAPD. And so I went down that path. And then later on, a friend of mine that I went to high school with basically said, man, your resume is insane. You should really come to the fire department. And I was like, I never even thought about that. And so one thing led to another. I was already a paramedic, and I jumped ship and went from the dark side to the to what I thought was the great side. And don't get me wrong, it was a fantastic career. I loved it. And I truly do miss it. There's a lot of things I miss in it. And there's definitely things that I don't miss about it. But yeah, so, I back to your original question. Did I realize there's a lot of work in being an entrepreneur? Yeah, I knew it was. But again, nothing comes easy, right? If it is, there's usually strings attached to it.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting, when I made that transition, and it took me a while to learn all the different moving pieces that were involved in creating a successful business. And it was a journey, specific, especially coming from a very regimented corporate background, and basically kind of breaking those shackles of thought patterns that I was as an employee to now, okay, I'm an owner. I got to think differently. And it took some time. Now that it's all kind of in place, and the work doesn't get any easier, there isn't any less work to do, but I am overjoyed, happy to get up and do it every day, because I'm never bored, not once. I mean, there's always something, a new challenge. Every single day, there's something else, another issue to solve. And that's almost the definition of an entrepreneur, as a problem solver.
Absolutely.
And yeah. So you're signing up to do nothing but be faced with issues and problems if you want to become an entrepreneur, which is probably why so many people, the larger percentage of the population, do not ever embark on it. Plus, you need to have inherent risk-taking ability or desire to, or be okay with taking some risks. You never take risks that would absolutely decimate your entire portfolio, your financial picture. If you have a family, you just do things responsibly, but you do take minor risk along the way. I just love the sheer, I love the variety. I love the variety of hats I get to wear. And then I've nurtured one of my team members to grow and become a manager. I've been stepping away from that role and just having a blast doing it, having that person manage another individual to do what I used to do. And I can now grow the business instead of, build inside of it. And it's just been a wonderful journey.
Yeah.
And you're now into a whole different kind of offshoot. You're now coaching people in addition. So if you wouldn't mind, I would just love to hear more in detail what it is you're currently working on? What is your current passion? Who is it that you're helping? You know, what is your demographic of individual? Is it male, female, a certain age group? Is it single person versus a entire corporation or a team within one? What is your current model, and what are you doing today to go out and serve people? Because I know that's what you're doing.
Yeah, actually, it's good. You know, I mean, honestly, I have a servant's heart, right? I think anybody, well, I won't say anybody, because there are some, you mentioned some key tenets and stuff in good leaders, in successful leaders, right? But there's differences between success and then greatness, right? So that's one of the things that in one of my courses that I've been writing, we talk about that. And so who am I helping? What am I doing? I mean, being in public service, like I said, you know, as a first responder for 30 plus years, you really, doesn't matter whether you're just a firefighter or you're a paramedic or you're whatever position you hold, you're still in a position of leadership, right? Because when you call 911, right, it's the worst day of your life. It doesn't matter whether your toilet exploded and you have no idea what to do, right? Because we get that. Or you're having a heart attack, or you were shot, or it doesn't matter, right? When I got on scene, when we get on scene as a first responder, my job is to take over that scene and manage it, to make sure that whatever your need is, I have a solution for it. I have to figure that out. So you're the ultimate problem solver. And when I get there, I don't have the ability to pick up a telephone and go, hey, 911, this is 911. I need an answer. Give me a solution. It doesn't work like that. So as a first responder, you're really in a leadership role, no matter what you're doing. Yes, you have higher ups and stuff, but you have to make critical decisions. And a lot of times they're life-saving decisions, right? They're life-altering, or they can be. So, you know, moving out of that space that I've been in for so long, and the chaos, you know, it's been now, I was placed off of duty in December of 21. I was finally terminated last year at Thanksgiving. And now I look back at it and it's like, thanks for giving me a fantastic present. In a lot of ways, you know, it's taken me some time to really figure out what it is that I want to do, what is my purpose, right? Because it's a very difficult thing and it's very personal for everyone, our purpose here on this planet. So a lot of introspection and things have to go on for that. And, you know, it's come to my attention, to my light through, you know, prayer and meditation and, you know, conversations, that I really flourish helping people. And so I've moved into that space now of, you know, I've done over the past 3.5 years, I've, you know, done tons of public speaking, you know, Reawaken America tour. I've been on stage with over 10,000 people, you know, live streaming to another 300,000 to 500,000. So I've been on some big stages. I've talked with incredible people. Have my connections that I have are unbelievable. And so I've made a lot of great friendships and learned a lot. And then out of that, I've like, wow, you know, I'm running, you know, I started kind of like a beta test, small group type thing for leadership in men. And one thing led to another. And what I really found, and you're asking, this is a long-winded answer to your question.
That's fine. Absolutely fine.
But what I've really found, and what I've noticed, especially in the past 3 years since COVID, is that the world is truly lacking leaders and leadership. And so what I've found throughout the whole medical freedom movement and everything is that women really stepped up to the plate, you know, because a lot of this affected their children. And, you know, you had all of these mama bears and whatever, right, that are stepping up to the plate and getting embattled in a lot of these fights. And my question always was, where are the men? Because the women are supposed to be, and I don't want this to sound misogynistic or whatever, but usually the women are rearing children, right? They're teaching, they're nurturing individuals. They're not at the forefront fighting, slaying giants and doing those types of things. That's what we are supposed to be doing as men, right? And we work together, husband and wife, whatever, in that space to create a good, solid family. And in reality, what we've seen is a destruction of that in this country. And so getting back to that, what I found is that men feel alone. They feel like they're on an island. And I call it the lone wolf syndrome, because all these guys, literally are out there and they think that all of the crap that they're going through is no one else is experiencing this. This is my, I'm Atlas and this is my thing to carry. And that's a bunch of bullshit. Pardon my French, but it's a lie. And society has created a facade that if you have emotions, you cry, you come from the heart instead of the head, that you're a weak individual, you're a weak man. And it's absolutely backwards. They've done it to basically shackle you and to keep you a slave. And so I've moved into the space now where I'm doing coaching with men who are leaders, but at the same time haven't been able to figure out what it is that is holding them back. And so that's where we dive into, a lot of introspection work, journaling, and really looking at the boundaries. There's some things through an interview process that you have to do to be able to work with me. And I do groups as well, because I really don't, I will do one-on-one coaching, but ideally it's designed to be in a group so that that you're not alone, right? You have that wolf pack, you have that ability to talk to other men without being weak. And so, it's an ever evolving process. Some of the things you said about when you were talking about your books and stuff in your library is leaders. We're on a lifelong quest for knowledge and really to better ourselves. And if you are at any point you think that you know it all, or that you are the end all be all, as a coach, as a leader, or whatever, you've got it wrong, and everything around you will come crashing down. And the truly great leaders are always inspired by other leaders, are always inspired by the people around them, and want to, do better for others, not themselves. Right. So
Absolutely. Yeah. There's so many awesome books on this topic, Leaders Eat Last. And oh my gosh, I can't even think of all of them, but there are many. They're at reachyourpeaklibrary.com, but they're all over. Just go to Amazon, look for books on leadership. What is your book going to be about? Can you divulge, reveal?
Yeah, I can. It's interesting. I've always kind of said, especially over the past 3 to 5 years, well, actually longer, I'm going to say 8 years, that I've got quite a few books that I could write. But I never really realized or thought of what I wanted to write. And so what inspired me to write the book that I'm currently writing right now, again, is I'm a big history buff. I really enjoy history, but COVID truly opened my eyes to history. I've gone down a lot of rabbit holes, and I've gone down a lot of rabbit holes, we'll say, since about 1988. But the name of my book currently right now, as it sits, is called True American History, everything you've been taught is a lie.
Ooh.
And it could probably be about 50 different books. So it's really difficult to write.
Yeah, I'll bet.
Because I mean, the outlines and everything are there, but every topic inside of it literally could be its own book. And so in writing this, I had to sit back and think, well, how do there's so much I don't even have the ability to, to do it justice. So how do I put this on paper? And I just realized, okay, I've got my chapter titles and what they're going to be. And I just start writing on that. And I hit the highlights on these topics. And in reality, I think that, we're spoon-fed a lot of stuff. And I like doing research. And I'm not saying everybody does, but when society in a general has been trained to go to work, get on that hamster wheel, go do your thing. You're tired when you come home. You want to sit down on the couch, crack your beer, watch Dancing with the Stars or whatever show's on now, right? And then in the weekend, you spend time with your kids or running from game to game or whatever, right? And you get in this horrible repetitive cycle. And that's not how it's supposed to be. And so it has you turn on the TV and you watch the news, which is really television programming, right?
Yeah.
So down that thought process, you're really being programmed on what to think, what to buy, what to eat, what to look like, everything, keep up with the Joneses. And it's taking all of your sovereignty away. And so my thought process was in writing this book, hey, let's give you some pieces of this and then pique that curiosity. And then you start doing the research. And, the house of cards is falling right now from the standpoint that you're realizing COVID really shed a lot of light on the lies that have been propagated to us, right? And so everybody's seeing that now. And the powers that be, if that's what you want to call them, that have been in control for so long have really done that because they didn't have the information era, right? We had the Dewey Decimal System, right? And you had to go and have conversations with people and so on and so forth. And you really had to do a lot of research. Now you can get on, your little computer here, right? And literally, I wouldn't necessarily use certain search engines because you have to go down 30 or 50 pages deep to start finding actual stuff. But I mean, you can go to the Library of Congress sitting in your living room, right? And do research. No problem. You can find things. And there's a lot of people that have done research. And so you can look at what they're talking about and start, forming your own decisions, right? And your own thought process. I think that's one of the things that was really wiped out is critical thinking.
Yeah.
They don't want us to critically think.
Right. They do it for us. And yeah, I was gonna you took my question right out of my mouth. That was awesome, which was because I experienced this, especially when it was at the height. I think it was during last election time when I started doing searches on one of those big data search engines that every single person is their default one at the moment. And I noticed that it wouldn't even give me an answer anymore on a topic that it didn't like. And I'm like, what is going on?
Mm-hmm.
And then I started thinking, well, where can I go to actually get information on this? I don't want to see if it's right leaning or left leaning. I just want to see what the truth is. I want the Walter Cronkite version, the guy who used to come on and just say it like it was, I hope. Yeah. Then, now it's to the point where myself, yourself, and so many people are questioning every single piece of information we see now. We have AI that's out there, and we look on social media. We can't even tell if an image is authentic anymore. And so you don't know where the truth is and where the lie starts or vice versa. It's getting really confusing in that way, and it's frustrating is what it is. It's like I just would like to find the truth and not all this one side weighted information, and the rest has been filtered out because they don't want you to see it or for whatever reasons. It's just gotten ridiculous. And this isn't conspiracy theory. This is actual looking for something. I know it happened. I know it exists, and I can't find a thing on it. Oh, come on.
Conspiracy fact.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
So
the term I like to use.
yeah, it's just sad, what everything that happened with Twitter, and then the turnover, which, it was an improvement in my opinion, but there's just a lot out there about this, and there's proof of so many things that were happening to basically sway people's opinions, especially during. I just wonder what's going to happen in the next couple of months. What's the next plan? But it's crazy. You just can't trust mainstream information anymore. I'll call it that, like mainstream media. Oh my gosh, you go to 5 different major news stations, and if you were to record them all, you would hear them recant word by word the same exact thing, like somebody's scripting all the news and feeding it to all the outlets. That never used to happen.
Well, and there's a reason, and I'll just touch on it briefly because we could go on forever on this, but it's propaganda, and it's 100% legal in the United States now. It used to be illegal to propagandize American citizens based on something called the Smith-Monk Act back in, I think it was 1947. Well, in 2013, Obama was the president at that time, and he created the Smith-Monk Modernization Act. He brought it in, and basically what that did was say that they could use propaganda on American citizens. And so it spread throughout schooling and everything since that time. And it's perfect. There's nothing, that is illegal with it until that gets repealed, which I would hope someone would do, because we're living in, a weird time.
Extremely weird and concerning in so many fronts. And yeah, so so you're doing Phoenix Rising to help people with leadership. So real quick, his website is prl.coach. So Phoenix Rising Leadership.coach. Let me see if I can. A bit of a gift. So I'm looking at my wonderful. There we go. That's it. I figured out my issue. So I was having fun before we got started with certain things not working on my platform here. But prl.coach, COACH. So it's not .com, it's .coach. And as we are speaking here, sitting here now, the website is still under construction. Just know that there is a contact form in there. Is that operational?
It is, absolutely. Okay. Yeah. You can go put your name and your email address in, and it will subscribe you to our newsletter. And then as soon as the site is up and running, 100%, then you will get an email from us that states we are in full operation on that. So with the lovely nature of tech, as you know, yeah, it's still being built, but it should be, I would say, within the next week finished. So
that's pretty good. That's pretty quick.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, a lot of people go, what do you mean it's under construction? Every business I've ever been involved in is always under construction.
Absolutely.
And, there are things called rebranding because, I love this topic. So you start out and let's say you're in a ship and you start out course and you know where your destination is, but after a while it starts drifting off course. You realize it, you see that, oh, wait, now it's way over there. It should be right in front of me. I need to alter course to aim right back at what my goal, my destination is. And that's really exactly what you're doing at this very moment with this transition into your website that's under construction. Well, guess what? You'll get on course for a while. Not you, just you, John, but everybody. You'll be on course, and then the wind will shift and it will push you off course a little bit. Guess what you're going to need to do is alter and correct course and redefine your business yet again and further refine it. Always improving, always improving, always. That's what I love about entrepreneurship. There's never a stagnant moment.
You said something earlier that I wanted to touch on, and I think it's really crucial, is that there's a saying, right? complacency kills. And so to me, you talked about it, and it's comfort, right? Everybody gets in this comfort zone.
Yeah.
And I'm, was in that space 100%, as a public servant. I was comfortable, right? Yes, my job was stressful and so on and so forth. But, after a period of time, again, it's no different than going to work and punching a stapler or doing whatever it is, right? You're very comfortable in that position, and you don't want to rock the boat. And so comfort builds complacency, and complacency kills. And in my line of work, that could be, literally happen, right? If I'm not focused and paying attention and I'm complacent, I could walk into the wrong situation. And if you step outside of that barrier, though, and you go to, just to any other business, right? In the business world, you're comfortable, right? You don't want to rock the boat, you're just kind of, but you get in, once that comfort sets in, you become complacent. And then that killing doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to kill you in the sense that you think. But what happens is it kills your ambition.
Yep.
It kills your drive. It kills your goals, right? Things that you were striving for before. And so the whole idea really is you need to always be in a state of uncomfortability.
Yeah, I'm not even going to try that one. You did pretty
right?
good.
You want to be uncomfortable, right? You don't want to be in that position of comfort, and you can do that yourself and there are ways to do that.
So glad you said all that, because that's key to success in a business. Like, it's absolute key. You just mentioned earlier that you spoke in front of many thousands of people. Many people that hear that would say, I'd rather go to my grave than do that. And that is an actual fact. When polled, people fear public speaking more than they fear death itself. Yeah. And that is one of those areas where you are uncomfortable when you first do it for the first time, and the second, and the 20th, and the 30th, and the 99th. The beautiful thing is, and you were touching on, there's somebody coined this phrase that just goes right down the middle of the plate of what you were just talking about. And that was, get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And the point is to stretch yourself to a point of discomfort as often as you possibly can. That includes committing to say, I am going to speak in public by this date, and put it in writing. And now you have to work toward that goal because you made a contract with yourself. And I'm going to pick up a phone and make that horrible sales call and ask somebody for money, because a lot of people fear rejection. And what you'll find is, after repetition, that fear goes away. You get more comfortable with it. You get more confident, more. Public speaking, I've done it, and I'm always nervous before I go up on stage. I'm jacked up, though. I'm excited. I mean, and all of it together. I love it. In the beginning,
well, it's the mindset.
Yes.
Right.
And it's getting the right mentors in your hip pocket. Yeah. I was told one of the greatest tips I was given. I'm an NLP certified master practitioner, all this stuff. So I got the mindset stuff down. Doesn't mean I'm perfect. I'm always learning.
Sure.
In addition to that, I'm getting ready to go on stage. My mentor, from whom I learned NLP from, I was getting ready to go on. He noticed that I was a little bit tense. I was getting ready. I was like getting jacked up, and he said, just remember, don't think about how you or what you're going to say to them. Think about how they are going to be different because of you. And I'm like, wow, when you take the vantage point out away from you and turn it back on from the audience and what you are there to provide to them, I was like, that's a whole different picture. And the next thing was, take a big deep breath and let it out. Those two things, and you go up on stage and you're amped. For the first 5 seconds, maybe there's still some of that, and then it's just all adrenaline and let's go, baby. Let's have some fun and help save people or serve people and get them to the next level. Depending on
and that's what it's about. It's about serving others, right? You're not there for your ego. You're there to bring a message that hopefully is going to benefit everyone, but it will touch someone, right? And so that issue of being uncomfortable, people really need to get used to that. And the analogy I use is of a bow and arrow, right? Okay, because I'm an archer. I was an archery coach, and think about this, right? What happens if I've got my little imaginary bow here, right? and I've got an arrow in there, and I'm it just sits there by itself, and that's comfort, right? Now, if I pull this back just a millimeter, right, a tiny hair, and I let it go, well, it might not even launch the arrow, right? But what happens as I start to stretch this back, right? The further it goes back, and the further it goes back and back and back, right? Now I'm all the way back here. What am I? I'm uncomfortable as all hell right now. This is like but man, when I let that go, what happens? You rocket. You literally launch, and your success and the things you're aiming for are literally the sky's the limit, right? So the more uncomfortable you make yourself, now you don't have to go out and do something where it's like literally you're going to have a stroke, to put you in a awkward position. But, find where is that uncomfortableness? Where is that zone? And take it one step at a time, right? Because change is not an event. It's a process, right? And people don't recognize that. And they think, oh, I'm going to make this change, and it's going to happen like that. It doesn't. It's a process, right? It's step by step.
And you said the one word, ego, and it doesn't mean you're an egotistical maniac if you get nervous before you go up on stage. It just means, or as an example, it just means you're thinking too much about yourself. Mm-hmm. That's all that means. It's not you're a bad person. I have an ego. John has an ego. We all have egos. We just need to know how to keep them at check, put them in the closet, and close the door for a little bit. And the thing is, if you turn it around, your life experience, what you're about to go up and teach people on, whether it's speaking from stage, writing a book, writing an article, it doesn't matter. The thing that I think of is it would be a disservice if that information was not given to other people, because your experience can help other people. I guarantee it. I don't care what experience you've been through. Someone else will resonate. Just like you said, John, you said it will touch someone. And that's all that matters. If you touch one life, isn't that worth it? Yes. Yeah. And it would be a disservice if you were to keep that to yourself because, I'm afraid to go up on stage. It's a real fear, and I'm not trying to make light of it. Right. But you will get over it. And the first time you do it, you'll go, gosh, that wasn't so bad. I didn't die. I didn't fall down. I didn't trip. My snot didn't run down my nose. All these things you think about, like, what do I look like? And all this crazy stuff about yourself. It is a disservice if you don't spread your knowledge, your wisdom, your experience to everyone else, because you will help somebody, guaranteed.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things that I remember being on stage, and, one of the first times I was ever on stage at a big event. I had never planned this. This wasn't anything that I'm like, I'm going to go be a public speaker, right? It's not even on my radar. It's like, so as I'm up there, you're standing in front of several thousand people. It could be intimidating, right? But my message to everyone was like, look, man, I'm literally exactly like you. I get up in the morning, I put one leg in the pant and the other leg in the pant, and I pull them up, right? And I go and I look at myself in the mirror, and I brush my teeth, and I'm literally the same person as you. I have nothing different other than a mindset that I have, but it's not like I never set out to do this. I'm a human being with emotions and all of these things, fears and whatever. It's just, this is the path that I was put on, and I have a message to share. And, and people always want to know how do we, this was in the medical freedom movement, right? And through COVID and all of that. And it's like, you don't have to stand on stage. You don't have, this isn't all about being on a stage. That's just where I was thrown into the fire pit, right? But for you, it might be just having a conversation with your neighbor that you're uncomfortable about, right? Being able to have a dialogue, stepping in at a grassroots movement to something in your community, right? To running for the school board or getting involved. I mean, it doesn't even have to be a school board, right? It could be your kid's classroom, being a parent helper in there, right? Bringing your experiences into that, being involved in community and speaking out when things aren't right. And that's, really, that message that you don't have to be a public speaker. You just have to put yourself in that space of uncomfortableness, and whatever that is. Everyone is different. And, and that's one of the things we do in my coaching programs is we figure out what is that, right? And we work through that. And then what are the roadblocks, and those can be all the way back to childhood, right? There's a lot of things.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And the beautiful thing is people just need to get and start down the right path. And, for those of you watching, if this resonates with you, again, this is John Knox, and you can go to prl.coach, prl.coach. That's a website. Fill out their sign up form. It's a subscription form. And at the very least, and say, hey, is there something you could help me with? Let's have a conversation. And I know he'll get back to you. He's got a servant heart. I mean, look at his background. He's law enforcement, firefighter, paramedic. I mean, this is what people do when they have a servant heart. They help other people. And John literally puts his life on the line multiple times to do what he did. He's very humble. He'll probably say, come on, Brian, knock it off. But no, I know, because my brother was a fire captain and EMT, and I know this kind of stuff. He's gone into burning buildings and almost didn't make it out. He's been in Forest Service. He almost didn't make it through fires in the forest. And I get it. It's so that you've been through, I'm sure your stories are different, but I'll bet there's a lot of similarity as well. And Absolutely. Going through that, you can, that's what happens. I love what I get to do, because people like you went through a lot of life experience that took you down a path to where you are today. And you're using all these past experiences in stories, in real life, in situations to help put it in perspective. So someone can go, I can do that too. I can be a great leader. If John can do it, I can do it. So reach out to him, prl.coach, prl.coach, Phoenix Rising Leadership.coach. Well, no, it's not Phoenix Rising Leadership. It's prl.coach website. Go there. We got a couple things to do before we sign off, so don't go anywhere. Number one is we're going to give away that prize, a 5-night stay at a 5-star luxury resort. Compliments of, you see them up there, reach your peak. And this is nothing to laugh at. It is a bona fide resort stay, like 4 or 5-star big time. And you get to choose from anywhere around the world. So don't go anywhere, because we're also going to close out this show by asking John, he doesn't know about this, by asking John a very profound question to close it out. And it's a doozy, John. It's amazing. This question I started asking, this show's been running well over 5 years now. And back during the beginning stages, on occasion, I brought this question up, and the answers were intriguing. And I was like, wow, there's another one. And so I decided I'm going to close every show with that question from that point forward. And if you're open to it, after we get a few more, I don't really know if we need that many more answers. We're going to take all those answers and compile them into a collaborative book with everyone's answers. And the title of the book will be the very question I'm going to ask you that you don't know what it is yet. Okay. I love the build up. But before we do that real quick, I want to stay true to my promise about that prize. So everyone watching, write down the following web address. I'm going to put it up on the screen here. Just write it down. Don't go there yet. Don't enter to win yet. Follow instructions. I'll see them come through. I get a text message on my phone when anyone enters to win, but please do enter to win the moment we sign off and say goodnight. We'll be monitoring it. My team will be monitoring it, and we'll have a random draw for a winner. I hope it's you. All right. With all that, I'm going to put it up on the screen. What you want to do is write this down, ryp.im/vacation. Guest experts are allowed to enter as well. Just saying, hint, hint, wink, wink, Mr. Knox, ryp.im/vacation. And past guest experts have won, because it is, in fact, a random draw. And you know what? I don't think a single person on here would be upset if you won, John, because you deserve it. You spent your time here. And I would love it too, but it's a random draw. I'm not kidding. ryp.im/vacation. write that down, and then go to it. After we sign off, I'm going to bring back the amazing John Knox right now. And now we're going to get to the crescendo. Oh, it's a big one. It's awesome. So there's a couple of wonderful things about this question, John, and then I'll lay it on you. The first one is, there is no such thing as a wrong answer. It's not a test. It's not a quiz. It's beautiful. In fact, the second beautiful thing about it is the exact opposite to that, is that the only correct answer will be yours, because it will be unique to you. As he ponders, what the heck can this question be? And the other part, the final third little piece of flavor to it, if you will, is it doesn't matter how long it takes you to come up with your answer. Some have done it in milliseconds. Others have taken several seconds. Even that is exactly perfect, because again, it's your answer. Oh man, I love the build up to this one. So with all that, are you ready?
I think so.
Of
I
course
hope so.
you are. You are John Knox. Come on, man. Of course you
I
are.
was born ready.
That's right. There you go. All right, here we go. I'm going to set the stage and bring you up front and center and ask you the important question, and that is, John Knox, how do you define success?
That's a great question. So, man, this question, that's a pretty interesting question, Brian, from the standpoint that everybody defines this separately. So a book is, if you're writing a book out of this is going to be epic. To me, what I define success as, I think, would be living authentically as myself, right? Being who I truly am and with purpose. And so kind of breaking that down, what that means is I feel that, there needs to be, for me to be successful, I have to have holistic growth or fulfillment. Sure, like you said earlier, money is fantastic, right? It enables you to do things, but it is not the end all be all. If that's your definition of success in my book, you're striving for the wrong goal. So, I look at it as holistic fulfillment and growth, and not just externally, like what we're talking about with all these achievements or whatever, but I think that really comes from inner growth, right? Mastering oneself, being physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, kind of, what you talked about earlier. Success really isn't one-dimensional. It's multifaceted, and it encompasses, to me, really the full spectrum of the human experience and why we're here, right? So I think that for me, that is the thing, that how I would define success: being here on this planet, having these experiences, and bringing that forth, and the knowledge that I've learned, the experiences I've had, being able to share that with other individuals to help them succeed, right? To give them that empowerment to figure out what it is that helps them do the same thing for someone else. That's my definition of success.
Another beauty. I mean, I'm telling you, you may not believe me when I tell you this, John, but I've been doing this now for over 5 years. And for a good part of that, that's been the ending question of every show. No two people to this date have answered it the same way. It's a very unique thing. That is what made it so profound and why I wanted to end every show. And the thing, this happens every time. And thank you for not giving just a 2-word answer, because that'd be a very short section in this book. But I love how it always ends up where, as the person's talking through it, the real essence really comes out at the end. Mm-hmm. And that's what happened with you. And it was about helping others to succeed. And that's where I'm finding the common thread with every successful entrepreneur I've interviewed on this show. It's always comes down to helping someone else.
Yeah.
It's not about, I want to get fame and fortune. You know, if I had asked you that question when you were 22 years old, John, I have a feeling you would have answered that quite differently. Would you imagine?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, me too. I'm no different. You know, I want the Lambo, I want the babe, I want the house. I got the babe, but I want the house and all that stuff. I can't help it, man. My wife, I love her and she's awesome. But high school sweetheart too. Oh, she's my wife. She's everything. But you know, different. And here's the thing, 20 years from now, John, I bet your answer will be different again. Mine too would be different from what it is today. That's what I love about that question. It's like it's frozen in time for that moment, for that person, where they are in their life at that moment. It's just beautiful. It's gorgeous. And your answer was just that. It was gorgeous. Very thoughtful. I loved how you talked about money. And that's the other thing I found. Not one person, not a single person that I've interviewed all these 5 years, not one said success had anything to do with the focus on the money. And you said it just the opposite. Said it's, if you're focusing on that, then I'd have to tell you, I think you're going the wrong way in defining success. And that was also beautiful. So totally, you know, I can tell with all these successful entrepreneurs, that's how we all got where we are, is through helping and serving others to get them to succeed. And through that, we ourselves, we get to encounter this thing we define as success, because it's very subjective. It's awesome. It's amazing. And you know what, John? You are amazing, my friend. I appreciate you for coming on, spending more than an hour. We've been having too much fun here, but that's good. And I just want to say to everyone out there, please go and enter to win, ryp.im/vacation. We're going to sign off here in just a second. Before we do, I want to ask you all to do just two things. Everyone watching and listening, just two things. Number one, go out and absolutely crush it in your business. Why? So you can we've been talking about it all show long, so you can serve more people. And then number two, above all, in everything else, please, everyone, to a person, be blessed. That is it for us here. On behalf of the amazing John Knox, I am your host, Brian Kelly of the Mind Body Business Show. Until next time, we'll see you again with another phenomenal, successful entrepreneur. So long, everybody. Have a great one. Thank you for tuning in to the Mind Body Business Show podcast at www.themindbodybusinessshow.com. My name is Brian Kelly.